Okay, so today we are going to be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Trapjaw and the Eternia Palace Guard. So I know I have both of them on here, so let's get a look at Trapjaw first. Alright, so here we have the Masters of the Universe Origins Trapjaw. This guy here is really cool, really cool. Compared to the vintage, you're not going to get any better than this unless it's a Super 7 or it is, classics Masters of the Universe. But anyways, this is Trapjaw Origins, and he has a few accessories. So how about we look at the accessories first, starting with his pincher. Now these have a peg, and of course they just slide onto his arm, which we will go over here in a little bit. And it also has another little peg, which actually these plug into the side of his belt. And this pincher is just casted in plastic, and there isn't much detail. I mean, you have the jaws of the pincher, and then you have the little tiny hinge right there. That's it. Moving on, we have Trapjaw's hook. Once again, it could be a Riddler question mark. Anyway, you still have the clip that plugs into the belt. You have the plug that plugs into his arm. Everything just slides in, which I will go over, but that's it. It's just a casted in black, no detail whatsoever to these. And then you have his gun. So you have the sight on top, the actual barrel of the gun, and then I have no idea what this is down at the bottom. Could be another part to the gun itself, as far as maybe it's another laser. I have no clue. But this part right here, of course, plugs into the belt when you're not using it. And then you have the stem that plugs it into the arm. But as you can see, it's just casted in black. There's no paint deco on it whatsoever. Not on the sight, not on the barrel. Nothing like that to, get anything to stand apart. No weathering or anything like that. But it's cool. It's cool. So let's get into the figure and let's take a look at this guy here. So with Trapjaw. Now I remember having this guy as a kid and I thought he was cool. And I always thought he was just a zombie guy who, was brought back to life by Skeletor and given, the metal jaw. Kind of reminded me of Jaws from 007. And then he was given the mechanical arm. And, Trapjaw was cool. And this is cool, too, because he still has a vintage hole on the top of the helmet where he can actually slide down a string. And that was cool that we were able to have that when we were kids. He still has his belt with the skull and crossbones on it. Really, really cool. He has a little bit of a robotic piece right here in his shoulder on this arm here. And then he has his forearm armor. And then he has something here on the back of his hand, but it's not painted in. It looks like a guard, or it goes to this plate right here, this forearm guard. Anyway, let's get into a little bit of paint sculpt. This guy has been painted very, very nicely done. I love the little whites inside of his eyes, the green zombie looking skin. His jaw opens and closes, of course, which we will go over, but I'm opening his mouth so you can actually see what's inside, which, it's just black. And then you have what would be the top part of his teeth, of course. It just looks like, gum. His gums. They're just green. I pushed his jaw down too far. The back of the helmet, the front of the helmet, it kind of reminded me of an old, football helmet without the guard. You have the hole here where you can put a string to go through, and you can have him sliding down. You have all black casted for this arm here. No, all the detail kind of gets swallowed up in the black, but still cool. Reminds me of the vintage a lot. Then you have his back, which is just his skin. Then you have his belt, which his wrestling belt is different than everybody else's. Of course, probably if you pop this off, of course, in Masters of the Universe fashion, he has the typical, and he does right there. It is Masters of the Universe wrestling belt. That's what I like to call it because that's what it reminds me of. But this one here is more of like a title belt, right? Because he's got the skull and crossbones on it. You know, also reminded me of, was he some kind of pirate? But we all know that he's not. So moving on, he has his red furry shorts. Then oh my. The highlighter green actually makes it all stand out. Matches his face up here. Very, very nice. I should be pointing with this. Just keep my big fingers out of the way. This is just easier. I like the little highlights in green. It breaks up the blue and the black. Especially like right here on the pads. You have the black, the blue skin. You have the red. All this breaks it all up. Gives a little more detail. You have the detail on his boots. Once again, it's all black. Casted in black. And he does not have the serpent feet. Trapjaw actually has regular feet for the bad guy, which is actually pretty cool. And the fact that you have his zombie looking face with his red trapjawiness. So anyway, let's move on to some articulation, shall we? So his head can turn side to side. He can look up slightly, look down slightly. No head tilt whatsoever. He has the action jaw, which, you know, I was already showing because I was trying to show the paint deco in there, so you already seen that. As you can see, it hinges to the side of his head. And then moving on to his arm. So this shoulder here actually has the ball peg in there. And I don't know if you can see it on this side because it's black, but this is his arm where the accessories plug into. As you can see, right here is the hole. He has arm bend, arm joint, elbow bend, and then he does have a swivel at the elbow. He also has, so right here you can actually see right here is where that ball peg goes in. So he doesn't have a shoulder swivel, but he has that ball peg that goes in, and it actually goes out pretty far. So that is not too bad, considering that this is a robotic part of his arm and this is supposed to be his regular arm. He has single jointed hinge on both sides. Those were the words I was looking for when I was doing this over here. And he has a wrist swivel. And he does have an elbow hinge as well. He has a waist swivel. And then he can actually do a lot better than a lot of the Marvel Universe figures. Or Marvel Legend figures, I should say. Marvel Universe. Yes, because I'm doing a review on Masters of the Universe. Then moving down to the articulation in knee. It's single jointed knee. He has a boot swivel, which is quite nice. And no, well, it can rock back, bend forward that little bit, and then he does have a little bit of a ankle swivel, ankle pivot. But not bad. I really like Trapjaw. Trapjaw is another one of my favorite figures. So let's get into showing the accessories on here. So here is his pinchers. You just slide it right in there, and that adds to the rest of his arm. So now you have his pinchers in there. The little hook that plugs into these tabs right here on his belt, they always face down. Always. So as you can see here, let me just set him here for a second. As you can see here, this tab that plugs into his belt, and I didn't even have him standing straight, actually plugs into right here. And this is removable. You can actually remove this belt if you want to. I'm not going to, but you just take this and just slide it in. And if you want it out of the way, you can, it'll slide, see? It'll actually slide, and you have a little bit of room to have it slide to where it sits in the back, where it's hanging behind him. So it's not in the way of anything that you choose to do with them. I mean, these guys have their articulation. They're not extremely articulated, but for Masters of the Universe, compared to what I had when I was a kid to now, this is 20 times better. Once again, you have his little hook. You slide it into the belt. Oh, his belt came off anyway. There you go. See, there's the old Masters of the Universe wrestling belt. Just pop it in, and then you can actually slide it over a little bit. So now that this is popped off, I wasn't trying to take it off. Since it's off, you have just like in the vintage Masters of the Universe, you have to pull this through. And I remember they were a pain then. I don't know about now. And then just pull it because it has little clips that go past. There you go. It's back on. And there is Trapjaw's belt with his weapon accessories on them. Very nice. Very, very nice. I've always liked Trapjaw. I also like Beastman. But I don't really care for the way they did him in Revelations. That's just my opinion. But yeah. So here is a Stinkor. It'd be cool to get a Stinkor. I think they're coming out with one, but yeah, be cool to get one. Anyway, there is Trapjaw. There he is in all his glory. Pretty cool figure. I like him. I mean, I wasn't expecting to have too much articulation with this guy, but you can actually get him. Let me see if I can get him into a little bit of a pose. So something kind of menacing. Let's see. Turn his head a little bit. Maybe see if I can get him to do like a walk. Maybe. I don't know. Considering it is Trapjaw. Oh, that was fairly easy. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. I mean, you could get this guy into something pretty cool, I'd have to say. You know, you want to give him the extreme posing, you can pull his arm out. It gives it more of a... Let's see if we can get this walk a little bit better. Probably not, because he's probably going to fall now. But considering the fact that I kicked that arm out. Oh, I just knocked something over. Anyway, something in the background. I think one of my lizards fell off. Yeah, not too shabby whatsoever. Not too shabby whatsoever with that. Not bad. All right. So that is my review on Trapjaw. Moving on to the Eternia Palace Guard. Okay, so here we have the Eternia Palace Guard. None of these guys were created. Well, this guy, I shouldn't say none of these guys. Unless you buy multiple of them, then you'll have a bunch of them. And that would be cool. Me, I just have the one, and I'm just going to stay with the one. But anyway, this guy here was not made back in the day. It was man-at-arms only. And I understand that these are man-at-arms palace guards. You know, these are his men. I'd have to say, if anything with this guy, if you would have slapped a pair of glasses on him, you would have the Spectre Palace Guard or Scott Guru's Palace Guard, which is cool because I do believe when they made that Palace Guard, he was the only one that had the eagle on the front. I could be wrong, but still, that's what this reminds me of. This reminds me of Scott Guru Knightlick's Palace Guard from the classics. Anyway, I'm really excited because this guy here, he's cool. Even though they didn't have him back in the day, this here is just man-at-arms dressed in a different armor. That's what it is. So first off, let's before we get into this guy here, and I'm a little bit jumping ahead, let's take a look at his accessories. So first off, he comes with his Palace Guard weapon, standard weapon anyway. This came with Castle Grayskull back in the day. When I was a kid, I had Castle Grayskull. This was on the weapons rack. This also comes with Scareglow, because this is Scareglow's main weapon. I'd call it a staff axe, because it has a staff. It's kind of reminds me of a joust with an axe tied around the tip of it. Neat weapon, just all casted in gray plastic. They could have done a little more with it, but I guess it's just the way it's supposed to look for this character. And then you have another shield, which this shield I do believe came with Castle Grayskull as well, as part of the weapons rack. It has a standard slit here for their hand to slide in. It's not like He-Man's shield. You have your little, knobs going around of the shield, and then this part that's sticking up, and it's just casted in gray plastic. It's no Captain America shield, but it's a shield nonetheless. Then we have Man-at-Arms mace, which is really, really nice. This is close to his Filmation. Close to. I have the Filmation Man-at-Arms in my collector's case. This guy reminds me of this. It's not big like the way back in the day, like Mechanics was, or even Man-at-Arms. And it's all just cast in like an orangey plastic. You can see the detail right here going around the mace itself. You have your little knobs on the side, and then the actual handle grip. And that's, and the studs that go around, for clubbing. So that is that. And then you have, which I thought was cool, is Man-at-Arms armor. And this, once again, is all just casted in a, orangey plastic. No wash or anything to get this to kind of stand out, but it stands out on its own. It's pretty cool. As you can see, it's just a standard harness. It just unclips here, and then, these two things, they just clip down, and you pull them down, just like when Trapjaw's belt came loose. And then we have the alternate head, the Man-at-Arms head without the mustache. Now, the Filmation one that I have has the mustache, but it looks exactly like Man-at-Arms did in the cartoon. This is more of the throwback to the vintage, which is fantastic. It's awesome. Nice orange paint color going around the head. Then you have these knobs on the top. Not sloppy paint when it comes to his eyebrows or his eyes. And then you have Man-at-Arms signature cheekbones. A little bit of hair that goes out of the bottom here of his helmet. I know they didn't paint that on the original one, if I'm not mistaken. So moving on to this guy here now, you have this head here, which once again, it's the same as the other. It's the same as this alternate head, as you can see. Everything is the same, all the way to the hair down in the back, the top, and including those beady eyes on the inside. Those eyes on the inside, the eyebrows, everything. So if you actually move this face guard here, which doesn't come off because you can see it's molded on there, but this does move just enough to where we can maybe see. That's Man-at-Arms in there. It's Man-at-Arms in there, which is fine. I mean, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, it just gives him the palace guard look. Anyway, moving on, as his armor starts to fall off because it doesn't stay on. It's meant to come off anyway. So this is all casted in orange. The eagle on the front is a little bit goldish color. It's like a bronze color, I should say, not even gold. And it's neat the way this is done, because this actually reminds me of Battle Armor He-Man and Skeletor, the way this window is open in the front. This could have been like a Battle Armor Man-at-Arms, with his eagle on the front. I'm just saying, just some thought. But then you have all the little details that go through his armor here down at the bottom, and where his abs are, down at the side of him. And then you actually have the straps in the back. And this guy's got a massive amount of muscle in his back. Muscular. And then on the armor here, which is a little bit different color than his actual chest piece, at least this way it looks in my camera. It's also cast in orange. You have three little studs here. Then you have where it attaches from around the bicep. Then you have his forearm armor. No wash whatsoever to get any of this detail to stand out, which is fine. I'm just pointing it out. And then you have the strap that comes around, also that connects to the forearm. This is the same thing on this side. Same armor. It's just it's Man-at-Arms with the Palace Guard armor on him, which is fine. This is cool. I like it. And then you got the studs, and then you have all the detail going through his knee and shin guards. You know, he could be not an umpire, but a catcher in a baseball game with this kind of armor on. You can see in the back he has his fuzzy boots, standard fuzzy boots, standard fuzzy shorts. The only difference is that he has this red crystal in the middle. That is a big difference. I don't remember Man-at-Arms ever having a red crystal in the middle, but that's cool that was painted red. Gives it a little bit of character detail. Change anyway. So once again, nice detail, nice paint detail on this guy. As far as articulation, this guy's head can tilt side to side. He can look down, he can look up that far, which is actually pretty cool. His arms with the armor, and the armor slides up so it doesn't get bound up onto, you know, his chest armor. He can do a T-pose. As you can see, his armor wants to slide off. Stay on, stay on. He can do the splits. Very nice. His arm, it can rotate all the way around. Double jointed, I mean not double jointed, I apologize. Single jointed elbow. It has a bicep or elbow swivel. Bicep swivel. It's kind of swiveling at the elbow, not in the, well, maybe it's at the bicep. His wrist swivel and they bend side to side. Then you have his typical single knee, and then his foot can tilt back that far, it can tilt forward that far, which is not bad at all. And then he has the ankle swivel, or pivot, I should say. Not bad whatsoever. Now, I do believe that if you want to make this guy into Man-at-Arms, I think it's this set of armor you could take off of him and you just slide it off. And I haven't popped his head off. When you pop his head off, and as you can see, it's a dumbbell joint in here. And then if you come around the back, undo the back clip in the back here. I wonder if you can, oh, maybe not. So then you want to undo these here, which these are going to be a little bit of a hassle. Just like in the vintage when you wanted to take it off or put them on, they were always a pain in the butt. And then they never went back on the same way because you stretched out the plastic or whatever the case. So if you actually take it and kind of tip it down, there you go, it'll come off. And then to get this off, just try and slide it over the armor without sliding all the other armor off. Which if it comes off, it doesn't matter. It all slides right back on anyway. But I'm just trying to do it. So there's that right there. And then slide the armor back up onto his arm. And then one of these are supposed to come off, right? I don't remember which. I don't care. I'm just taking one off. So I believe that's the way the old Man-at-Arms was, like that. So then what you want to do is you take Man-at-Arms' armor. Let me just stand this headless Man-at-Arms here while I undo this. So you have the clip here. Undo the clip. And like I said before, if you dip that down, see, that was easier. So we'll just do both since this one's already off. So there you go. So that's how it goes. If anybody, you know, everybody who has actually owned a Master of the Universe figure knows how to do this and remembers how much of a pain in the butt it kind of was back in the day to get it on and to get them off. Pop this in to here, then take this bad boy. This is where the fun begins. And then slide it through the peg. There you go. That wasn't too bad. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Slide this one through. Pop it in. All right. Looking good. Take Man-at-Arms' head. Pop it on there. I don't know if I have it on there right. Seems like it. Okay. I think that's on there. Seems to be. Anyway. There you go. And you have yourself a vintage Man-at-Arms. But we're not done yet. Because then you have Man-at-Arms' mace. His signature weapon. And now you have Man-at-Arms. So that's cool. That is really cool that, you know, you're able to do that with this guy. So you can take this guy, you can leave him like this, or you can put him back as a palace guard with his armor, or not. I mean, it's Man-at-Arms, so it doesn't matter either way. I like the way it looks. It looks good. I think these guys are great figures. So now that we have Man-at-Arms here, I don't really have too much of a complaint. I mean, this is vintage right here. This is vintage Man-at-Arms, and I don't know if I got that all the way on there. I think I do. It's just odd. Maybe it's just the way the armor sits. But this is Duncan. Yeah, this is. Oh, see, the armor wants to slide off. Just push it back up. Push it back up. There we go. All right, so we have Man-at-Arms here. So let's bring in Trapjaw. Those guys look good together. Look good together. All right. So let's actually leave them there, actually. And then here is Iron Man. Not too shabby, right? Marvel Legends with both of them. It's a little crowded, so I'm only gonna do one at a time. Then you have Master Chief. I mean, these guys are small compared to these others. That's for sure. Marvel Legends are a lot taller. And then, and I still haven't put his wings or tail on him, is Goliath. And Goliath is, as you can see, he's out of frame. He's a big boy, and I'm going to have to hold him there, or else he's going to fall, because I don't have him to where he's going to sit. But he towers. He towers over these guys. All right, so pros. I think that these guys are awesome. I think they're great. I think it's great to add these to your collection if you are a Masters of the Universe collector. Even if you're not and you just want to pick them up, they're fabulous. Cons. You know, they could have been a little taller. They're fine the way they are, don't get me wrong, but they could have just been a little taller, you know, to just go into scale so you could put them in other universes. I mean, you still can. They're just going to be kind of stocky little guys. I think it's great the way they have made these guys so vintage. I mean, this is the way the vintage Master of the Universe could have been back in the day, but they weren't, and that's fine. This is the way they are now, and they're fantastic. They're keeping it to the vintage characters, which is awesome. I like it. I think it's great. So with that being said, double jointed, yeah, they could have, I guess. I mean, I don't really have a complaint with them being single jointed. And as far as, you know, the head articulation, I mean, Trapjaw is Trapjaw. You know, his head's not going to really do too much of anything anyway. So, but I mean, the Palace Guard or Man-at-Arms, he can look up, he can look down. He's got head tilt, he's got all that stuff. So I don't really have too many cons when it comes to these guys. Paint sculpt, they did a fabulous job. Detail, they did a great job. They could have done a little bit of wash. Maybe that's the only pet peeve I have, is a little bit of wash on something. Everything not being so plain. But otherwise, it's great. So with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. It will help get my videos out there, so that way it tells the YouTube algorithm to keep sharing my videos and to keep them moving, and that way, you know, I can keep putting more and more content on here. So guys, thank you very much for your time, and I will catch you all on the flippity flip.